All right, folks, 6 o'clock, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Port Washington Planning Commission meeting for February 20th, 2025. We have all commissioners present. Commissioner Ryer is joining us by phone, and our newest commissioner is here for the first 5 minutes. So that'll work out. So I'm looking for an approval of the previous meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved, is there a second? Moved by Alderman Newmeyer, seconded by Mr. Strom. Any questions or concerns on the minutes? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. I just want to take a second to introduce our two newest Planning Commission members who were approved 22 and a half hours ago. So Tina Mock is replacing a former commissioner, and Tina is an engineer with a strong background and understanding of Port Washington. So we're excited about that. And then Nate Herlach, who had a previous commitment tonight and came anyways, so I appreciate that. Nate's a lifetime Port Washington resident and a proud UW guy, as well as a forester, and that is really helpful for us because we just changed the zoning, or not the zoning, the ordinances in Port Washington to eliminate the park and recreation representative. You used to have to sit on two boards, and now we're back to one, but filled it with someone who had a park and rec background. So both of you, thank you very much for joining us. All right. Yeah, welcome. All right, we've got a bunch of stuff to go into tonight. So the first agenda item is public comments and appearances. Remember that you have up to 3 minutes to make your comments, and if you have comments, to please step to the microphone, state your name and address, and I'll give you a couple second warning before your 3 minutes is up.
My name is Margaret Gentges. I live at 4542 County Road B, town of Port Washington. And I am here to address the board of the city of Port Washington. First of all, I'd like to thank the Ozaki Press for providing us information about what's happening in our area. Other than them and what I read on the internet, I'm learning a lot about data centers. You want to put a data center within a mile of my house, up on the hill, similar to the St. Mary's Church up here. It will be high. And right now there's a tower there. So based on that tower, as I travel around the northern part of Ozaki County, I keep picking out that tower. And I can see it north of Fredonia, the village of Belgium, and every time I go home out of the city of Port Washington, or when I'm traveling in that area. It's sad what you guys are going to be doing to us. I own 600 acres in the town. I take care of the animals in my barn. I take care of the animals that visit my property, that eat off my alfalfa through the winter. I take care of the animals that live in my forests. And the creek that runs through my land that eventually comes through the city of Port and goes into the lake. And you as board members are going to be a parent to that data center that you plan to put on the hill in the town. You're going to be parent to the largest data center in the United States. So your child is pretty big. And the first 5 years are going to be very messy with people having to leave their homes and find other places to live. And the construction and the trucks, you'll have to put a new on and off ramp to the I-43. And the ground's going to be moved around. So much for taking care of the earth. And as your child gets older, 1 to 3, those first 1 to 3 years, it's fine. But as you approach the third year, that child's going to start dying already. By the 5th year, there's going to be toxic waste. Where's that going to go? Are they going to bury it in the fields? Otherwise, they'll have to take it out through the city of Port Washington to a burying place. And by the 8 to 10 years, that child's going to be dead. That place is not going to be useful anymore, is what I read. Are you going to have empty building? You got
Margaret?
this in the mail. You're going to
Margaret,
put up big lines going near or through my property to this big data center, the electric. Now what? I suppose my 3 minutes are up.
yeah, thank you. And if
Good
you
luck
want to
with
submit
that.
that letter from ACT, or if there's anything you want to submit to us in writing, we can make sure that all the commissioners get it as well.
You said you received it in the mail yesterday.
Yeah,
I
but if there's
received
any additional comments you want us to get,
it. Okay.
thank you.
I'm a parent. I have to go to my parents'
To basketball.
night at basketball.
Other public comments or appearances?
Hi. Hi. My name's Steve Brill. I'm Fox Point Avenue, actually in the city of Cedarburg. I'm talking about the farm. So I just have a statement. When Schaefer Development presented the RFP for the farm, it grabbed my wife and myself, our attention. In 2021 and 2022, we bought 2 business barns on South Park Street, another unique and successful development. And because of that, we've become to love Port, and our plan is to sell our house in Cedarburg and eventually settle here, ideally, in the farm. But as I've followed along for the past several months, I want to share some insight because I see I don't see much cohesion going on. The city seems to embrace smaller, dense lots. We embrace that as well. The thinking is smaller lots equals smaller square footage house. A smaller lot with a smaller house, thinking would be more affordable, which is your goal. And smaller lots, again, results in more houses being built. The farm can achieve those goals, but based on previous meetings by the Plan Commission meetings, council members have expressed opinions, city staff, again, there just seems to be no cohesion. So I've got some solutions. Hopefully you can embrace those tonight. I think everybody loves everybody's embracing the alleys. I think the alleys make the lots less affordable, and the neighbors don't seem to appreciate the alleys because it's not cohesive with what they have in the surrounding neighborhoods. People want to eliminate, the neighbors want to eliminate Laurel Lane, so that would appease the neighbors as well, and have houses where you have, I propose to have houses where you could have a front loading garage with a driveway, which will create somewhat larger lots, but more green space, and eliminate alleys, which will make the lots more affordable. So before you move forward on tonight's decision, lastly, if you don't move forward, please continue to have rapport with Cindy Schaefer Development, because I think the farm as an agricultural development will be an asset to the community.
Other public comments or appearances? Hello, Mr. Gasper.
Yes, Mike Gasper, 514 Chestnut Street. I have a few comments regarding the farm development. I have 25 years of experience in civil engineering, roadway, highway design, and traffic engineering, and I have a couple concerns about this development as it's currently laid out. Grand Avenue through here, the DOT has done us absolutely no favors with how they laid out this road. By making it a 4-lane divided highway, it encourages higher speeds in an area where we're trying to slow down traffic coming into town. It's currently marked at 35. Traffic goes about 40 on it, and if you lowered the speed limit, it probably wouldn't go any slower than that anyway. For example, Highway LL south of Grand Avenue is also marked at 35. There is absolutely nothing on that other than open space, and I would challenge you to drive it less than 40 miles per hour because it'll feel like you're going ridiculously slow, and if you don't pay attention to the speed limit, you'll be going 50, 55 through there very easily. And what leads to that type of situation is is friction along the sides of your roadways. In the case of Grand Avenue here with this development, as I said, the state has done us no favors. In order to slow down the speeds here, you need to have development and other things along the side of the road that makes it feel like a tighter urban area that will slow down the traffic. Where it's wide open with the proposals for the farm area right up against the highway, that's going to be open space. It's going to feel rural. Traffic is not going to slow down through here. We're going to have a development that's probably going to have a lot of children living in this area. There's 2 parks to serve this area, one immediately to the east down in Bly, and the other in Hidden Hills across the way. And we're going to have children crossing this road here to go to the park on the north side. And that is a road where speeds are still going to be going 35 miles per hour no matter what we sign it at, because it's going to feel like you want to be going 40 miles per hour through it. And if you go and look at the safety factors for speed versus pedestrians, at 40 miles per hour, 90% of the time the pedestrian is going to be killed in an accident. At 25, you're going to see almost 90% survival rate. There's a huge difference in that little bit of speed. And anything that can encourage slower speeds through there would be very beneficial to the city as a whole. Also like to bring up another issue in here is the northernmost intersection at C Street. We again have roads in the subdivision that have very little friction, both to the north between C and Grand, and from on Sweetwater there, and from Sweetwater to Jackson. And to the north, at Astor and Sweetwater, we have residents who've been asking for a 4-way stop, thinking that will slow traffic in that area. This is an area where you're going to see that same request almost immediately, because this area, once again, doesn't have the friction to make it feel like an area where you're going to want to drive slower. So that's going to encourage faster speeds once again. And those are my major issues with this. I've talked to the city planner and stuff. He's aware of them too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gasper. Other public comments and appearances? Other public comments or appearances? Okay. Moves us into our agenda then. Under item number 4 is a minor review, consideration and possible action on a window replacement in the Port Washington downtown historic area, 122 through 126 East Main Street. Sam Blake Enterprises, owner Clinton Price is the applicant. The Plan Commission is being asked to approve a minor review to allow the applicant to replace the second floor windows on the property, which is a contributing building in the Port Washington Downtown Historic District. The recommendation from staff is to approve. Mr. Harris.
All right, Mr. Mayor, thank you. As noted, it's in the Historic District, downtown Port Washington. As such, the zoning code says whenever there is a building permit needed, this shall receive approval from the Plan Commission. In this case, it is the new owner wishing to replace the existing windows that are highlighted on the slide up above here. And based on his statements, it would essentially be replacing like-for-like windows, double-hung white vinyl with double-hung white vinyl. The replacement photo, it's a little deceiving just based on the white trim, the wide white trim around the actual window element, and then we have the existing comparison. The applicant is here, and if you have any questions or comments, he is willing to talk to the commission. As noted, Plan Commission or staff recommends approval.
Any questions or concerns on that? Anyone willing to make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
There's a motion by Mr. Ehrlich. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Strom. Any questions or concerns on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Just want to point out that Megan and Ted Knightsky rented that apartment in the 90s when we first got married, and I wish you would have had those windows when we lived there. The place was very cold when on eastern windy days. All right, our next agenda item is the use determination, consideration and possible action on a use determination for proposed commercial kitchen in the B4 Central Business District, 124 East Main Street. Clinton Price, applicant. Sam Blake Enterprise is the owner. The project and background is clearly stated. At this time, the staff has no recommendation as a use determination. Staff is seeking direction from the Planning Commission. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll just refer to the same slide as the previous agenda item. So the new applicant is in the process of putting new uses into the building. One of the uses, or one of the proposed uses, would be a commercial kitchen. And this would be using the existing commercial kitchen in this building, and would either be as a kind of a rental unit for, say, food truck operators that want to prepare their foods and they don't have the brick and mortar facility on their own, or it could be just to the general public for various uses. There is no specific commercial kitchen use listed in the zoning code or the B4 zoning code list of uses. But the zoning code does allow the plan commission to make a determination if there's a question about the use. So right now, there is a broader category called, where are we here? We are at, lost my place here. So it is a community or customer service establishment is a permitted use. And so really the request is, does a commercial kitchen fall under that category? And again, the applicant sits here if you have any more questions about the proposed use.
Bob, I just have a question. Is the only reason we have to do this because there's a transfer of ownership?
No, it is just a simple, there is no commercial kitchen listed under the list of uses.
But isn't there a commercial-
There isn't like something you could slide it into. And so that's why that line in the zoning code is there saying if there's a question as to a use or a definition of use,
Sure.
take it to the plan commission and they can make a determination.
So how did it operate 6 months ago with a commercial kitchen in it?
It was just for the full restaurant.
Oh,
This
okay.
would be persons wanting to, you make an appointment to use the commercial kitchen.
Okay. I don't really feel like there's a huge difference, but
Well,
any questions or concerns?
There actually is a big difference because when it's a restaurant, people are actually going into it. They're
Sure, no,
using
I get
it,
that
and
part.
And it's a draw. And my concern is here you've got one of our downtown buildings, and it really, although, people will use it, I don't know if it's really going to be a draw. And so as far as, I'm sure that the trucks will use it, but it's not going to be a destination for people. I mean, it's something to think about. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I would ask the applicant to maybe a little clarification if to
Yeah,
answer
absolutely.
your concerns here.
Sure.
You need to turn the microphone on there, a little button in the middle there. Thank you.
The current layout is the former Yummy Bones building, or the building itself, was originally segmented into two pieces. Locally Inspired and the pet supply store occupied the rear portion, and then Yummy Bones had the front restaurant portion. And at one point, 2022, I believe it was, that a doorway was opened between those two sections of the building. And then Yummy Bones was using the back portion as their prep kitchen, and then they were serving out of the restaurant in the front. The plan is to separate those buildings again, and the front of the building, the restaurant proper, will have a different use. This is just the back segment where Yummy Bones was, where they had their prep kitchen.
Okay.
The idea being is that will be a space where people, say a baker for the farmer's market or the winter market in Inventors or something like that, somebody who doesn't have a space to create enough of their food to sell, a food truck or a baker or someone who basically needs more space than their house would allow, or if they need a commercial space to be able to sell in another location, packaged goods and things like that. Sure.
So in the front portion of the building, you're expecting a restaurant. In the back, that's a community prep area.
The front part, we have not determined. We're still in negotiations on what that will be,
Okay.
but that is separate from what we're asking for the commercial
Okay.
kitchen.
I think the idea is brilliant. I was worried that it was that front part was not going to be anything that, people could
The
use.
front part will be a draw.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my preference would be if you could get Goosey's back, and then maybe put Willie's Wish back there too, back the old days.
That building has some history.
Yeah, yeah, but it is certainly better than when I lived upstairs and had to listen to Christmas music in June. So
Well, at least it wasn't cold.
it wasn't cold, correct. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, thank you.
Because that wasn't very clear, so. That's actually a pretty cool idea for the farmer's market to be able to. Yeah, okay. Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, just real quickly then, if multiple people come in and out of that space, like I guess the big thing is how do you maintain sanitary conditions? Who's responsible for?
We've talked with the county health inspector, Mark Carlson. We've had him in already to advise us on what equipment and things that we need. Basically, it's a kitchen already, so it might be as simple adding some different appliances, but we will have a cleaning, either a cleaning company coming in or myself or my wife will be doing that in between clients. So it'll be a shared kitchen, or one of the proposals is a shared kitchen where somebody rents it for a day or for 6 hours or something like that, and then someone else has it for another time.
I guess I'll move to approve.
All right, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? All right, motion carries. That takes us to agenda item number 6, final plat. This is a final plat consideration and possible action on a final plat for Phase 3 of the Highland Point subdivision located north of Newport Vista Drive, south of East Sauk Road, east of the Ozaki Interurban Trail, and west of State Highway 32. The Plan Commission is being asked to provide a recommendation to the Common Council on the proposed final plat for the third phase of the Highland Point subdivision, and the staff recommends approval of the final plat subject to final review by the city engineer and correction of city finance and the city finance director. Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Harris,
Thank you, Mr. Knightsky.
you're welcome.
All right, so this is the third and final phase of the Highland Point subdivision, and the developers, Newman Developments, are coming in seeking final plat approval. The first phase of the final plat was approved in 2022. The second phase, which is primarily along Highland Point Way, it's shown under construction in this aerial, that was approved in 2023. And now with this third phase, it is the final 20 lots of that single-family subdivision. I do have, just for comparison's sake, the preliminary plat that was approved, I think was in 2021 already. And the red outline is just showing that third phase. So this is the plat, or the subdivision in its entirety. You just see the streets and the connection to East Sauk Road on the north, and then the two connecting streets to that, both Newport Vista, the apartment subdivision, and then continuing into Misty Ridge with these two adjacent connecting streets. This is the final plat before you tonight. I believe, I recommend that it's substantially unchanged. It's consistent with the preliminary plat, and as noted, I recommend approval. And we do have, I believe, representatives from Newman, if you have any questions.
Mr. Ehrlich.
One quick question. So Highland, I'm just looking at the aerial, the Highland Point Way, will that be finished as part of this? Or is that,
The area that looks like it will be a cul-de-sac potentially down the road? Right in the middle there, is that what you're asking?
Well,
On the west side?
The road kind of starts from the intersection and moves to the left, and then it kind of stops there as it kind of curves up, and is that all
Yeah,
part
above
of
the
this
retention
part
pond?
of it, or?
Yeah, it's an older aerial.
Oh, it is. Okay, is that finished now?
Should be, but I'll
Yeah,
let
Ryan Fritchers, Newman Developments. Highland Point Way is constructed at this point.
It is.
So, yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it's tough to see in the aerial, but it does tie into Windrush Drive on the
Yeah.
west there.
Okay, perfect.
When you guys name your streets, like, what's going on there? Is it just like, what do you think? Windrush? That sounds cool. Like,
In fairness, Windrush comes from Misty Ridge, I think.
yeah, I think
that-
so. But
that,
it's like,
that one's a continuation.
yeah. It's Ridge View, Ridgeway, Misty Ridge. I hope our police find their way around there, but yeah. I don't have any issues with this. Roger, did you have any other?
Yeah, one real quick comment. I noticed that with the homes getting built, the lots are getting marked with iron nails. Those aren't appropriate property markers. So I guess I'd like to see that corrected.
To what exactly?
If you refer to the planning manual from DOA, to iron pipe could be concrete markers, but there's a certain size and length of markers that's required.
Brian Lindgren, Newman Developments. Those are simply starters. Those will get replaced with the pins as the utility or We Energies wraps up and the ground is a little less frozen than it is right now.
All right.
See, now that would be a cool street name, Frozen Tundra Drive. Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions on the plat for final approval? Anyone willing to make a motion?
I'll move to recommend approval of the Phase 3 Highland Point final plat, subject to final review by the city engineer and insertion of correct finance director name.
Is there a second?
That.
Second by Roger. Mr. Strom, any questions or concerns on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, that brings us to item number 7, preliminary plat. Consideration and possible action on the preliminary plat of the farm. For a proposed farm subdivision located on approximately 39 acres of land on the south side of West Grand Avenue, east of Jackson Road and west of Laura Lane. Schaefer Development is the applicant. The project has been reviewed, as has the plat. The recommendation from staff, sorry, I got to get to that. The recommendation from staff is approval of the preliminary plat subject to final review by the city engineer. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I will just provide a quick summary of where we've been and where we are. And so this is a follow-up from the December of '24 Plan Commission meeting, in which the commission rejected the previous preliminary plat. In its view, it was a substantially deviated from the approved concept plan. And so with the new plat, the applicant has submitted alleys into the blocks that was shown in the concept plan. And I think it's a little easier to go with the site plan just to see the differences both with the alleys. And then I'll just summarize real quick some of the changes in the lot counts or unit counts. And this will be a comparison from the concept plan, the last preliminary plat we saw in December, and then what we're looking at tonight. So total housing costs, total housing unit count, it's reduced from the 276 unit concept plan. In December, there were 258 units, and now we're back up to 263 total units. A little more specifically, the single-family lots are going from 105. In December, they were 71, and now we're up to 76. And then the apartment unit count is generally the same in December. So in 161 units from the concept plan, and then last month and this month, it is December and this month, we see it's unchanged at 175. The single-family lots are a little larger from the concept plan. Again, the concept plan had about 4,100 minimum square foot lots. In December, they were bumped up to 7,000, a little over 7,000 square feet. And now the average single-family lot is about 5,500 square feet. As far as the changes as shown in the site plan, I'll just point those out as I noted. The alleys are returned to the site plan reflecting the concept plan. The roadways network is largely unchanged. We do have the connections to Laura Lane, Second Avenue, and then is the proposed public street connecting to Jackson Road. And so as far as preliminary plat approvals go, I have the criteria for approval on your report. I will add that the plat is consistent with the comprehensive plan, the land use element of our comprehensive plan. And I will just read those real quick. I think there's six items related to this specific site in our comprehensive plan. Number one, the land use should consist of smaller residential lots with a mix of residential types. Number two, 1 and 2 family residential development should be designed with garages set back from the front face of the house or served by a rear alley. Snout house designs were not recommended. Cul-de-sacs shall be discouraged unless site conditions leave no other choice. Number 4, surface parking shall be minimized between Highway 33 right-of-way and any future development. Number 5, not real relevant in this case, backsides of any buildings facing Highway 33 should be minimized. And lastly, future residential development should contain street connections to Jackson Road, Second Avenue, and Laura Lane. Just additionally, with other comments to ones I have in the report, while the housing styles of the site, they remain, in my view, paramount importance, the preliminary plat itself meets the standards for overall approval. And so with that, staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat subject to final review by the city engineer.
Questions, concerns, or comments for Mr. Harris?
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump in right away. There's just, I guess, essentially two big things that I'd take off the preliminary plat is all the street widths are labeled. That's not necessary for preliminary plat, and I think that's something we'll want to work out in engineering to kind of address some of Mr. Gasper's comments. And I notice up in the northeast corner, it says there's a survey overlap. That needs to be resolved before final plat. But other than that, I think there's been a lot of work put into this between our staff and the developer, and I guess I'm in favor of approving this.
Other questions or comments?
I do.
Mr. Newmeyer?
Bob, could you expand upon Public Safety Departments and Engineering's request that Laura Lane go through?
So when this was going through, I think in December, I think probably the previous version, obviously the concern from the residents and then the discussion points have always centered, or at least the majority of the comments have largely centered on whether you connect Laura Lane or not, based on preliminary platting and the land use and really the RFP. And the fact that it is a stub-end subdivision, the recommendation is to, like most subdivisions in a city, you connect those streets. We did, staff, both planning, DPW, I know there is a preference from both public safety and streets that, having a street connection rather than a dead end is a much improved condition.
Okay, then I'm just thinking out loud, how do they mitigate that for those properties on either side? If you're going to drop the road down to the lower level, does that cause any kind of disruption to those properties? Or is the developer required to smooth that out? 'Cause if we're going to drop, it's just not going to, I'm assuming not going to be a hill and just drop right down. The grade would be changed. Maybe Roger can speak to that more.
Yeah, they'll have to design some sort of vertical curve up there to round it off, so you're not Evel Knieveling off that ramp. And just kind of expand just a little bit on, I just looked at a bunch of our old concept plans for the site from when it was a baseball complex to, I think there was a subdivision plan here, maybe the city design. All those had that lower lane connected, and I really think that's the right thing to do. If I understand that it's a steep hill and there's difficulties getting up there maybe in the winter. I would hate to have an emergency vehicle have difficulties getting up there. If we have it connected, they have another way of accessing those houses on the top of that lane.
Thank you.
I would like to just say that I'm pleased that the developers kind of met us halfway, is somewhere in the middle with this development. It's much better than the previous one that was in December. Yeah, I'm in favor of this.
Quick side note, we do have the engineer for the project here if you have any more questions.
No, my only concern would be that how that's addressed with Laura Lane and how to address that hill, and so. But I'm confident we can figure something out. So,
Any other questions or concerns on it?
I move to approve the preliminary plat of the farm subject to final review by the city engineer.
Is there a second? Oh, Tina's in the minutes.
Real quick, did you want to include the city engineer's additional comments about the, clarify that for me, Roger?
It was the removal, I tried to capture this. So the motion is to take the staff recommendation to approve the preliminary plat with the plat subject to the final review of the city engineer with the removal of the road widths, and then, what was the second part, Roger?
An overlap.
An overlap of the,
Yeah, the survey point, so there's a property overlap on the survey, so that they need to resolve that between the neighboring property and themselves.
okay, so let's try to help out our
I will adjust my
clerk here. To what?
to that.
Yep, to that.
And
All right,
just,
so the motion would be then, go ahead, Roger, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah.
We're just destroying parliamentary procedures, it's fine.
I'm really good at that.
Just to clarify, it's the pavement widths that shouldn't be on the final plat, that the dedicated road widths, right-of-way road widths is appropriate to be on there.
And then resolution to, say that again, resolution to,
The survey overlap in the northeast corner.
To correct the survey overlap.
okay, I'm just going to read it for you, so, you ready? So the motion for Mr. Ehrlich is to move to approve the preliminary plat of the farm subject to final review by the city engineer with removal of the pavement widths and resolution on the survey overlap in the northeast corner of the plat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, in that, you are good with your second on that, Roger? Or I'm sorry, Tina, you're good still seconding that? Okay. I just, before we vote, I don't disagree with staff often. I don't like the Laura Lane component. I get it, but we did from the start say that we didn't want to connect that, so. All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. I have one nay. All right, motion passes. That takes us into the next agenda item, which is, the consideration and possible action on a concept plan for a proposed single-family subdivision containing 97 lots located on 37 acres of land on the north side of East Sauk Road and west of the Ozaki Interurban Trail, but from Newman Development is the applicant. The project is proposing to develop a single-family subdivision consisting of 95 lots on approximately 37 acres of land currently located in the town of Port Washington, and the staff recommends approval of the concept plan. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a real quick item. I did have a typo in that title you read, Mr. Mayor. It does say 97, and it should read approximately 95 lots for the concept plan. So just a quick clarification. And so this is an aerial of the subject site. This is the same image that we showed at the pre-concept plan meeting that we had, I think it was last month at the commission meeting here. So real quick background, the town of Port Washington, they approved two CSMs dividing the two properties into 4 total lots. And the purpose of that was to take two of those lots to create the proposed concept plan that we'll see tonight. As part of that CSM approval, the town also approved a resolution of a detachment to agree to detach these lands from the town for annexation into the city. And this is abiding by the town-city Port Washington boundary agreement, in which this is an area where any annexation from the town to the city would need town approval. This is the concept plan, and real quick, it's very similar to the pre-concept plan informational meeting that we had last month. The 2 connecting streets are off of Sauk, and then we have the circular drive for the large block, and then we have connections to the north, to the undeveloped property to the north, and then we'll also have a connection going to undeveloped property to the east. Let's see, the lot sizes vary. We have 70, 75, and 80-foot lot widths, and the minimum lot area is 8,800 square feet. This is essentially very close to the Highland Point subdivision to the south and southeast. As part of this, Newman will be asking for, if approved, will be asking for annexation into the city, and then we would also need to amend the city's comprehensive land use to include these lands. But for the concept plan itself, the staff recommendation is approval, and we do have representatives from Newman if the commission has any questions.
Any questions?
Yes, one question.
Clarifications? Yeah.
Do we not have to have the owners sell the land?
Isn't this owned by Newman currently?
I don't know.
No.
No, it would be
Contingent upon contingent?
contingent upon approval, and then the Proms and the Anawenters would sell to Newman.
Before the council can annex it? Okay.
However, Mr. Newmeyer, the property owners are on the annexation petition.
Good question. Any other questions?
I don't know if this is,
What is-
I'm just a little concerned. Lots 56 and 57 in the bottom left-hand corner-ish, the floodplain takes up the majority of that. Are you planning on kind of raising, I mean, you'll have to have the floor level will have to be higher than 2 feet higher. But are you planning on kind of filling in some of that to push that floodplain back?
Yeah, Ryan First, New Developments again. To answer your question, yes, we did initiate a floodplain study and would work to fill those couple lots that could be potentially impacted.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, the way they look, it takes up most of those lots. So, okay.
Other questions?
Go ahead.
You want to remind them about the iron nails? I learned something
Noted.
every planning commission, that's, yeah, I thought iron nails
I do
were,
have a question.
yeah, Mr. Ryer.
I was just going to ask, I think I asked at the last meeting if there was any plan for a park in the subdivision or what the closest park would be.
No, there is no park proposed for this subdivision.
And that was a concern last commission as well.
Yes, it was.
is there a need for a park in this area, or is there a park that's close by?
What did Mr. Crane say?
I think we're going off of we do have the Park and Recreation Plan. I could call it up.
Well, it's okay. I mean,
Okay.
it's an inquiry, so there is no park.
Yeah, at this concept plan stage, correct.
Okay. Is there plans for the area to the west there where the retention pond is? That looks like that are you going to run trails through there or anything for the residents, or is it just going to be part of the HOA or?
Yeah, that would just be an outlot for stormwater capacity.
Okay. All right. Anyone willing to make a motion on the staff recommendation for approval?
I'll move that we move to approve staff recommendation.
So the motion is to approve the concept plan. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Newmeyer. Any questions or concerns on the motion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that takes us into agenda item 9, the consideration and possible action on a petition to annex 38.28 acres from the town of Port Washington to the city of Port Washington and assigning a temporary zoning recommendation for the purpose to accommodate a proposed single-family subdivision located on the north side of East Sauk Road and west of Ozaki Interurban Trail. Newman Development is the applicant. The Plan Commission is being asked to review a petition seeking annexation into the city of Port Washington and to provide a recommendation on the question of annexation and a corresponding temporary zoning designation for those lands for the purpose of developing a single-family subdivision consisting of 95 lots on approximately 37 acres of land currently owned in the town of Port Washington. The staff recommendation is approval of the annexation and a temporary zoning designation of RS4, single-family detached residential. Mr. Harris.
Okay, so with the Plan Commission recommendation of, or the Plan Commission approval of the concept plan, the next step in this process is to take up the petition of annexation from the property owners and proposed by Newman Developments. And so the exhibit for annexation lands mirrors those CSM lots that make up the entirety of the proposed subdivision. So we have the exhibit on the left, and then we just see the aerial with the same red outlined area on the right. Again, as noted, this is a Plan Commission in the form of a recommendation to the Common Council. This petition was first reviewed by the State of Wisconsin Department of Administration, and their determination that it is in the public interest. And so with that, staff would recommend approval of the annexation petition and with a recommendation of a temporary zoning of RS4.
Okay. Questions on that?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah. Go ahead, Roger.
Well, I guess the first is more of a comment that this annexation will create a town island, which, because we have a boundary agreement, is legal to do. So just want to throw it out there. Maybe city attorney can add more to that, but so that is one of the benefits of having a boundary agreement. I guess the other item I have on this annexation is the legal descriptions in the annexation refer to the CSM and lot numbers, which are the CSMs recorded?
They are not yet recorded.
Okay, so it's technically not a legal description. I guess that said, I'd still be favored, making that recommendation to council to approve it, provided that the lots are recorded by that point in time.
Okay.
We would expect to record the CSMs in the next 2 weeks, if that helps.
So Roger, you're recommending that the motion be I move to recommend the Common Council approve the subject petition to annex and to assign a temporary zoning designation of RS4, single-family detached residence to the subject lands. contingent that the lots are recorded? Contingent upon the recording of the lots?
Yes.
Is that a motion you're making?
Yes. You stated it so eloquently.
Yeah. It's the teacher coming out in me. So I move to recommend the Common Council approve the subject petition to annex and to assign a temporary zoning designation of RS4 single-family detached residence to the subject lands contingent upon the recording. Cool? Is there someone willing to second that?
I will second.
Motion is moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Mr. Ryer, did you have a question before we vote?
I do not have a question. No, that the question was answered in regards to the boundary agreement allowing for the annexation.
Okay, excellent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, Comprehensive Plan Amendment, Plan Commission Resolution 2025-1, consideration and possible action on a recommendation to amend the City of Port Washington's comprehensive plan for the purpose to accommodate a proposed single-family subdivision located on the north side of East Sauk Road and west of the Ozaki Interurban Trail. Newman Development is the applicant. The Plan Commission is being asked to review a request to amend the City of Port Washington's comprehensive plan to add the subject property into the city's future land use map with a land use designation of medium density residential via approval of the attached Plan Commission Resolution 2025-1. The staff recommends approval of the land use amendment with a land use designation of medium density residential. Mr. Harris.
All right, so with the Plan Commission approval of the concept plan, the Plan Commission recommendation of annexation to the Common Council, the next step in this process would be amending the city's comprehensive land use plan to take in what will be the former town lands and assign it a land use designation, so that will inform any final zoning. In this case, and as per state stats, the recommendation from the Plan Commission should be in the form of a resolution that's in the packet. And looking at the comprehensive plan, the proposed use as a single-family subdivision, it's consistent with adjacent city land uses to the southeast of the property, and a residential land use is located directly east of the property. The proposed subdivision will be similar in density and style to the Highland Point subdivision, and the anticipated zoning for the property will be RS4 single-family residential. And the proposed land use designation is medium density residential, thank you. With that, the staff recommends approval of the land use amendment with a land use designation of medium density residential, and that would be the resolution and a recommendation to the council.
And just for the record, I'm not going to read the entire resolution, but I'm going to read the last two whereases here so that people recognize what we're doing. So the resolution, this is standard operating procedure for us, but the Newman Developments whereas Newman Developments has submitted a request to annex property into the City of Port Washington for proposed residential subdivision necessitating an amendment to the City of Port Washington's comprehensive plan to add such lands located on the north side of East Sauk Road and west of the Ozaki Interurban Trail, and as shown on the attached Exhibit A with a land use designation of medium density residential on the land use plan map adopted by the Common Council as part of the comprehensive plan. And whereas the Plan Commission finds the comprehensive plan with the proposed amendment contains all the required elements specified in Section 66-1001, subsection 2 of the Wisconsin statutes, and that the comprehensive plan with the proposed amendment is internally consistent. So that is what we are voting on. Are there any questions or amendments to the motion? Otherwise, is there anyone willing to make a motion? The motion is I move to approve Plan Commission Resolution 2025-1 and recommend the Common Council approve the proposed amendment.
So moved.
It's moved by Commissioner Ehrlich. Second. Oh, Tina, I was giving you a chance. Seconded by Alderman Newmeyer. All right, any questions or concerns on the motion? Mr. Ryer, anything?
Nothing.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Resolution will move its way to council. Okay, and then finally, agenda item number 11 is the RFQ update. This is an update to the commission on a request for qualifications for the redevelopment of the downtown police and fire department block. This is a request made by me, and I appreciate seeing this tonight, Mr. Harris.
Thank you. And I don't have it on the slide deck. I will just pull it up individually if I can get it here.
While you're doing this, I'm going to explain why it was so important to me. So this is something that, as we had discussed, building a new safety center and going through that process, I felt was really critical for the city of Port Washington to understand, especially the council, to understand the value of that land, what could potentially come from that land, and most importantly, what revenues would come from the sale of that property, if that were so the decision and the desire of the council, to offset the costs of the fire and safety center. So this process to me is really, really important, because then as we go to levy that next year, if we have known revenues coming in, those levy pieces could potentially be adjusted down the road with those revenues that would come in from that very, very unique property there that has already been reimagined in the downtown plan process that Bob ran out a couple of years ago. So now I'm going to stop talking, because that bought you enough time to get you to your document.
And I'll just walk the commission through the RFQ here. So we all know the site. It is just kind of in the existing downtown grid, so the utilities are all there. There's the question of, the buildings are there. Will they come down before? Will they come down as is? Therefore, so what I did was, as far as possible development incentives, negotiable land purchase price. We don't know yet. This is still a draft, and so this is we'll need this kind of feedback both with the council, with the mayor, and with the commission now tonight. It is adjacent to the downtown tax increment district. That's been in place for some of the most recent developments. And so as far as the envisioned development, we did a downtown planning process, and the development and vision for this site was single-family townhomes. And then we do have just some images from that plan, and we do have a conceptual site plan for the block, and it just shows kind of the, I counted, 17, 18, 19, 20 townhomes for that block. It makes for a nice street edge, and the character of the architecture would need to be in line with downtown Port Washington. And then we have the, just kind of the content for the RFQ, the submittal content, submittal instructions when I was drafting this up. Again, this needs to go get vetted through, with both the mayor and the council. So I just kind of have a bookmark date of May 15th in there. And then there's a selection schedule and a selection criteria. As of now, for the selection criteria, I have compatibility with the city vision and intent. As of now, we're using the downtown plan vision, development feasibility, architectural compatibility, and importantly, development team experience and qualifications. With RFQs, you do you have to sell the site a little bit. And so I think the site, as we know, I think the site and the location kind of sells itself. But if one were to put this out, and for developers outside of Zazaaki County, even southeast Wisconsin for that matter, there's not a lot of locations that are one block from Franklin Street and what it has. You have lakefront dining and drinking, 2-3 blocks away. There's a harbor walk. We have beaches and parks less than 1 mile away. A lakefront and marina 3 blocks away. I think the images and the distances sell itself and make it a very attractive parcel. And there's pulling out a little more in elevation. It's just the location where we are. We have 30 minutes downtown Milwaukee, regional health centers 45 minutes away in Tosa, commuter train 2 hours to downtown Chicago, Door County's 2-ish hours to the north, and UW-Madison, 2 hours away. So I think we do have an attractive site. to develop once the police and fire vacate the premises. But that's kind of how the RFQ is set up right now.
I really appreciate this. And I also appreciate the diligence and the depth that you put in there, as well as the photos, especially with the tall ship. We'll just make sure that's there the day they come in to tour. But thank you for that, Bob. Any other questions or comments for Bob before this? The next step is this goes to council or committee. Well, we are the committee, but then it goes to council.
Just real quickly, Bob, how does this timeline lay out with our building heights discussion and zoning code?
Well, that's an excellent question. We should be getting, as far as the zoning code rewrite and the proposed downtown design standards, we should be taking that up in the next month or two. The whole downtown zoning is scheduled to be done by the end of the year, so summer, end of the year. Having said that, even if it goes under the current zoning standards, I think this wouldn't be much of a pull. I think the height is compatible, at least in my view. The height for townhouse uses is compatible with the surrounding area and the neighbors to the north and west. And so I think it would be compatible in that terms then with our current zoning code. Plus, it's the city site and we would have design control as well.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Oh, the thoughts on the heights of the townhomes. What are the thoughts with that?
2.5 stories. So we're
2.5
talking,
stories.
Better than I do, like,
Yeah.
35 feet-ish,
Yeah.
maybe a bit more.
Maybe a little more to the peak. Yeah. Okay.
And Bob, what is the total size of the lot? Is it
1.53 acres.
that's the total?
Yeah, I saw it in there somewhere.
It is in there. It's 1.56 acres. Yes.
5.6.
Thank you.
I appreciate the thought of the townhomes. I was very concerned it was going to be a much more dense development. This makes more sense. It's more with our downtown area.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, and there were a couple of things that I really liked about the downtown plan, and that was how that was reimagined, really being kind of the bookend and cornerstone of the entire downtown, going up Jackson,
Yep.
and then having that as a kind of a beautiful, quaint little neighborhood. I do imagine that in the next probably 2 to 3 decades, that entire area is going to have the opportunity to be redone. Banking's being reimagined. I can't imagine the Associated Bank needs that huge property in the future, and the shift in the funeral home and the county not needing the parking lot as much and all of those different pieces. And then most importantly, that development would have a parking solution for itself. So that's good work. There's no action on this, but any other comments for Bob before he moves its way up to council?
I just don't want to get rid of Associated Bank.
We won't be getting rid of your bank.
I like that building.
Yeah. You like that building?
Yeah, I know that architect really well.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, so any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion for Mr. Ryer to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Tina, welcome to the commission. This meeting is adjourned. Go Pirates.